Hello, today we're going to create our own Voronoi pattern. To do this, we're going to start by marking with a pencil a random 10 dots on our piece of paper, like so. Now these dots need to be spaced out so that what we can now do is join them together with a ruler to create triangles. Make sure that your ruler is touching each dot, both sides, before you then join it together. Now that we've joined the dots and created our triangles, we're now going to place a very light dot in the centre of each of the triangles. The diagram that we've already drawn is going to be our scaffolding to be able to draw our Voronoi pattern. So just nice and lightly in the centre of each of the triangles. And the pattern that we draw is going to continue outside of this scaffolding area. So it could start to come off the page. The next thing we're going to do is start to create either four-sided or five-sided shapes. These are not going to be typical squares, so they're going to be a quadrilateral of some kind or a pentagon of some kind, but we're going to join these dots that we've done now together to make those shapes. So use a ruler for this. Make sure that the dot is on the ruler so that when you join it together, you've got a nice straight line heading in the direction that you're going. Now that we've connected these shapes on the inside, we can start to see where our Voronoi pattern is going to go. It looks a little bit complicated because we've got so many pencil lines. So you need to get yourself either a marker, a fine liner, or some sort of pen that you can go over the lines. So very carefully, I'm going to go over the line that creates my Voronoi pattern. And I'm going to ignore the lines that were part of our scaffolding to begin with. You will notice that as I start to join these together, that I've got some five-sided shapes, some pentagons, and some four-sided shapes. This is the starting point for our Voronoi pattern. So what we can now do is start to extend some of these lines. So at the edges, here, we can start to extend our lines towards the edge of the page. You'll notice I'm doing this with a pencil to begin with, and this is just going to extend our pattern. And then I'm going to go over it with my marker. Okay. Now that we have all those lines in place, we can start thinking about our pattern itself. You can see that I've started to add extra detail to this pattern to make some of the lines slightly thicker and to actually curve some of the corners where these cells are going to start to meet. So I'm just adding a slight curve to those edges to make them flow together. And this creates my pattern. Remember, this is inspired by, it is not an exact copy of. And we can continue to add that detail until we're happy with the way that our pattern looks.